It's good to see you.
Hi, ciao.
Okay,
Great to see
speaking
you
of
too.
ciao, tell us exactly where you are.
Right now, I am in Florence, Italy, and
Oh my
I'm
God.
actually at my friend's really cool house here. I wish you could see it, but there's really high ceilings. It's very cool out in the countryside. So, I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. The only thing was it rained all day, but it was beautiful here. So,
And Marcus, what takes you to Italy?
well, I mean, it's a long story. I've been playing here for the past 10 years,
Yeah.
and the first time I came over was with my friend Roy McAllister. And Roy is this incredible luthier, and David Crosby had a guitar made for me. When we did the interview. In
Yeah, but
fact,
there's going to be a
yeah,
lot of people here that don't know this story.
yeah.
So
Okay, well,
so tell it,
yeah,
tell
I'll
it.
repeat it. Yeah, I have this friend named Roy McAllister, and the first time I came to Italy, he brought me here. And what
And
happened?
what wait, why did how did that happen? Why did that happen?
Here's what happened. So I was working with Crosby, and I was in the studio with him, and he had this one guitar. In fact, when I first met him, he said, "You got to come up to my room and you got to play this guitar that I have." And I said, "Okay." So I played this instrument. I was like, "Oh my God." It's called a McAllister, handmade guitar, amazing. So I play this guitar, and long story short, he surprised me by having one made for me, the same guitar. And I went to his studio, which is up near Seattle, and I met him, Roy McAllister. And I'm pretty technical, so I've actually worked in a guitar shop, and I know a lot about making guitars in general, a lot more than I guess your average Joe. So I appreciate him a lot, and I met him, and we kind of hit it off. And he said, "Listen, man, I'm going over to do this guitar festival in Italy, and I'd love to have you go, and I think they would love you there." And I was like, that would be a dream. I'd love to do that. So he took me over here for the first time. And I played this acoustic guitar meeting. It's what it's called in Sarzana, which is this town north by Pisa. And that was my first introduction. And I remember I was really, it was one of those things, international travel. I was pretty nervous. And I kind of like I had a panic attack on the way over. I got here, I was just like, I
Oh
can't
no.
do this. And as soon as I got to the on the ground, he said, "Hey man, I'm going to take you up to where we're playing." I think he sensed that I wasn't feeling very well. And as soon as I stepped out onto the stones, and the streets are stone, and he took me up to the castle where I was playing, I was just like, wow, this place is awesome. So ever since then, it's just been kind of like this exploration. And then the second long story short is that I have my Italian citizenship because I'm Italian. I have relatives here. So yeah.
Okay, so this is crazy. You have to be Northern Italian, I'm thinking. Are you Northern
Yeah.
Italian?
Yeah.
Because you don't look Italian at all.
Well, yeah, I have northern Italian and Sardinian.
Sardinia.
But
Where
yeah,
is Sardinia?
Sardinia is an island off the west coast of Italy.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Off the
But yeah,
west coast of Italy. Okay.
but my grandmother, is like Northern Italian blonde, so that's pretty much what
So
what I
was there mixing of the bloods? Is that how this happened that you
um yeah, well, my mom's basically full Italian. I mean,
wow.
but my great grandparents are the ones that immigrated, so they're Tuscan. So
Oh.
I'm in my homeland right now. So
So do you see family when you go there?
yeah, I have cousins here, and they're in a place called Viareggio, which is close to where I'm at. Actually, it's near Pisa. Torre del Lago is the other place.
Do
Yeah.
you speak
So
Italian?
yes,
And when
yes,
did that happen in your subsequent journeys, or is that something that
yeah.
you always did?
No, I wish, God, I wish I were just fluent, but no, it's just something in my subsequent journeys. And then I've dated a couple Italian women, separate at separate times, but just tried to learn throughout time. So yeah. Oh, hang on, I lost you.
Oh, sorry, that's me. I'm
Okay.
muting and unmuting because I'm trying to get all the live feeds, making sure they're all working
Oh,
because
okay, okay.
we're in the, you know, technical stuff. I'm
You're
doing
a
the
one woman army there.
yeah, 'cause the last time I did this with you, you know, we had Pete with us and it was a lot easier. And I'm trying to
Yeah.
get it so people will find us right now. So I'm
Oh,
actually going to
good.
do a post right now that we're live because you know how the Facebook can
I'm
be.
gonna do a post too, and I'll just do it on my
Okay,
phone.
yeah, let's just do it right now. I'm putting the link right now, the live link up there for people so they can find us because there's like 2 people who have found us right now. So we need, I got to get this going.
Vicki and I are live right
That's
now.
right.
You
Live
need to log
right
in,
now.
and I'm gonna post the link.
There you go.
There it is.
So you know what? How about, I know a way to get people on here, Marcus.
How
How
we
about
do
if
it?
you play a tune for us?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I made a request. I had a request earlier, and I don't know if you want to start with that, but I'd sure love to hear Better Way, which is one of
Yeah,
my favorite
absolutely.
songs of yours.
Absolutely. I'm gonna post this link and then I'm gonna do that.
Okay, you post this link, and I'm gonna I'm lying live right now. Yeah. We're both posting links while we're live, but
I
you know,
like it. I like it. You know what? This is the modern world, and this is how it works.
a couple
So,
more people will find us, so that's
yeah,
good.
okay, here we go. Here's the link. Bam.
All right, I gotcha. And
Okay.
all right, so
Perfect. Okay.
tell me when you're ready, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna take me out of this equation and just get you going on here. All right, Marcus.
All right. Well, this is a song called Better Way. Are you ready?
You bet we are.
Okay, here we go. How is it that we find ourselves broken? No atmosphere, no words and no talking. This was the plan before you ever saw the light of day. Sleight of hand, you're not supposed to see. You can't believe a word they say. Yeah, there is a better way. There is a better way. 2 versions of the truth lead you astray. There is a better way. Yeah, yeah. How long can one stand by and do nothing? When it is obvious that the opposition's bluffing. Yeah. So many times we've seen one person's revolution rising up like a bird, turning faith into absolution. There is a better way. There is a better way, yeah. 2 versions of the truth lead you astray. There is a better way, yeah. I want some ground to stand up on. I want to live in the light. I want to see it breaking better way. Yeah. There is a better way. There is a better way. Yeah. Two versions of the truth lead you astray. There is a better way. Yeah. Yeah. There's a better way, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love that song so
Thank
much,
you.
Marcus. What a
Thank
great song.
you.
Okay, so where can people find your music? Where can they find Better Way?
Well, actually, funny you should mention that because you didn't know it. I have a new version of it coming out.
No shit.
I released it, but I had a friend that was a really great producer that offered to produce like a new version of it because he had kind of a different vision for it to make it acoustic, more like this. And it's actually got John Mayer's rhythm section on there. So
Get out of here.
yeah, so I have Aaron Sterling on the drums and Sean. I always, God, I just blanked his name, but Sean.
Well,
Sean.
you could say anything and I'll say, oh yeah, okay.
But it's John Mayer's rhythm section. It's this his
Wow.
bassist and his drummer, and man, they're just like excellent, you know. Sean Hurley, excuse me. That's what I meant to say.
And how did that come about? How did you get them?
Well, that was his original idea. He's just, man, I'd really love to do a version of that with Aaron Sterling on the drums. And I knew him from Instagram. And he's got this amazing Instagram account. He has a lot of followers. He's always posting really creative, cool drum stuff, you know, and percussion stuff. And he's really funny too. He's got a great sense of humor. So I'd been checking out his page, and he said, yeah, have you ever heard of Aaron Sterling? And I was like, yeah, I know exactly who it is.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be perfect for this track. And I said, dude, let's try it. That'd be amazing. So we actually just had the drums first, because it's all like really percussive.
It's,
you know?
so percussive, and I love the way you do percussion on your guitar. You
always thank you. Yes, I mean that the guitar part is like, it's like a standalone part in a way, and then so we put the drums on there, and then we kind of sat on it for a long time. We thought we were going to do some sort of like synth bass thing, and at the end he said, "Man, we got to just try Sean Hurley on here. Let's do it," because Sean is he's a badass. So this track turned out so cool, and that's my next release. So it's actually a video and a song coming out. It'll be out within the next month, basically.
And where was the video shot? How was the video shot?
Well, I haven't seen the finished thing, but we shot it before I left LA, and we shot it kind of in my neighborhood. It's going to be really interesting and cool. I don't really know what to expect.
Is there playing on it, or is it a conceptual thing?
No, I'm playing, but it is a concept video. That, you know, the lyrics are two versions of the truth, and I was kind of trying to illustrate that. You know, it's funny because I wrote. Yeah,
I was going to ask you what sparked the song, because I asked you last time if it had to do. Tell us, because I find that really interesting. You know, in the old days, we used to go to in the olden days, we'd go to concerts to see singer-songwriters, and they would tell us the story of the song before they'd break into the song. People don't do that anymore. So,
no, I mean, so the story of that song was that I just got inspired. It was like probably 11 years ago. I think it was before I moved to LA, 11 or 12 years ago. It's kind of hard to believe, but it was some political idea that I had, and it was just kind of like, well, I mean, it was more like about the news and what was going on. And now, I mean, I don't even know if it's, you know, really, it's totally relevant, but yes, there are two versions of the truth, and somewhere in between is, you know, somewhere in between is reality, you know,
usually, except now the truth that we get from one side, there's no basis in reality whatsoever.
I know
what that's about.
So
it was a political base.
Yeah, it was kind of about that, and it was just about like how it's just, I mean, it's hard to describe like in one term what it's about, because I really believe that there is a better way of doing things, and there's ways to make people more connected, and everything's divisive in a way, you know, even having an opinion sometimes can be divisive, and we all have a platform now, which is not good. Actually, I don't think everybody should have the platform to be able to say everything they want all the time. You know,
And why do you think that?
because there's no responsibility, you
Mhm.
know. And if you know, you can, okay, you have an opinion, but there's facts and then there's opinion, and again, like, it's all about perception. And so
But
I'm
don't you read
fascinated.
everything don't you take everything you read on social media with a grain of salt? I mean, do you read any
Yeah.
of that as being truth? I mean,
No, but you know, but I think also I have that mind, but you know, like,
mm,
look at our world. A lot of people take all of that as truth. I mean, it's
that's
really
true.
weird. And I mean, God, look at what we've gone through with COVID since then. I mean, there's
Okay,
so much misinformation about COVID. So,
we
but
have
to
to
finish,
talk. Go ahead.
yeah, no, to finish the thought, I was just going to say, I tried to illustrate these two versions of the truth in the video. I had a completely
Uh,
white suit with a white guitar and a completely black suit with a black guitar, and did the same shots, and they're going to be kind of like switching back and forth. And
cool.
then I have a color, like a colored jacket, and that's going to represent the actual truth, or just, you know, the reality, however you want to look at it. And so the video should be really cool. I don't I haven't seen any cuts of it yet, but I
Who
know there's
directed the video?
well, it was me and my friend Carlos, and
Mhm.
I met him. I was filling in for Vonda Shepard, and I played guitar with her on a couple shows. And I played with her in Las Vegas, and she had this amazing guy, Carlos, that basically is like her tour manager. He does, man, he's just like a jack of all trades. He does front of
Mhm.
house, he does monitors, social media, and road manager, and guitar tech. Sometimes he does all sorts of stuff. And he was filming her throughout this process. And it was amazing, like the shots that he was getting. And so I had this song that was just about ready to come out. That's a Dave Matthews cover song called Pay for What You Get, that I did just kind of for fun, but I just kind of wanted to test out this idea because I really wanted to do it. And I finished the track and we were on our way flying to Vegas. And I was like, God, if I could film a video there, because it's called Pay for What You Get. So, like, Saturday night, we left Sunday at like 4 or 5 p.m. And I pitched this idea. I said, hey, man, what are you doing tomorrow? And he said, I'm around. And I said, do you want to shoot a music video? So we did this video in an hour, and it turned out, it's probably cooler than most of my videos, and it was just totally spontaneous. It turned out so cool. So I asked him if he wanted to do another one for Better Way. So that's the
So
story.
that one you shot in Las Vegas, the first
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
I was
it's
just in
out.
Las Vegas a few days ago.
Oh, you were?
And then from Las Vegas, the next night we went to see the new moon at Mount Pino. Have you ever been up there in Fraser
Oh,
Park?
no.
It's pitch black at the new moon. And so all the
Wow.
astronomers go up there with their telescopes. And so we got to see like Saturn with the rings through this guy's telescope. And it's what with
Wow.
the juxtaposition of Las Vegas and those stars as opposed to pure nature and darkness.
Yeah,
And it was amazing. Yeah.
that is so cool. That's so
It's a really cool thing to do. If you have an opportunity in the new moon to go to the elevation there's like 8,800 feet, you know, it's very high.
wow.
And so it was really cool.
Is that like out in the desert somewhere, like out in
You
Red
take
Rock?
the 5 all the way. It's up in the mountains, actually.
Oh,
It's
it's
up
in
in
the
the mountains.
mountains.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's in the
wow.
mountains. It's pretty cool. So, all right. So all right. So if people want to find your music we're going to do
Oh,
this a few
yeah.
times. So for people
Yes.
to find your music, old
Yeah.
and new, whatever you've got going on, how are they going to find you?
Well, you got my Instagram page, of course, Marcus Eaton Music. You have TikTok, Marcus Eaton on TikTok. You have
Now we've got a
Twitter.
TikTok story, but we're not going to tell it now, but we've got to
Yeah,
come back
yeah,
to TikTok later.
yeah.
Okay,
Come back to
we're
it.
gonna,
I have a Twitter page, but I never use it. So, I mean, I post. It's
but
kind
is
of
your
like,
music, do you have a website where your music can be
well,
downloaded?
marcuseaton.com,
Okay.
but you know, Spotify, Apple, it's everywhere, Marcus Eaton.
But
So,
isn't it like if people get your music on Spotify, you're not really making any money on it, isn't that so? Or are you? Or how does
yeah,
that work?
well, oh God, I mean, where do you want to start?
I
I think,
know.
I mean, Apple's better than
Mhm.
in terms of making money. Apple's better. I mean,
Right.
the fact is, you can listen to the music there, but you can also buy it there. And people don't consider that, on Spotify, you can't buy the music.
Right.
There is no option to buy anything.
Well, that's why I don't want to send them there.
But here's the other thing. Now, this is just another weird little juxtaposition of the time we're in. When you get Spotify plays, no, they don't pay. They pay terribly. They pay
Right.
0.02 cents per play. However,
Crazy.
it does help you to get plays there. So I would never discourage people from going there, because if they're listening to your stuff, it helps you, because it does build. I look at it as just another social media platform. That's
Right.
all. It's just like saying, well, why do you want to build following on Instagram? It's like, well, just because you're communicating with more people. So it's, it is what it is. I hope that there's going to be, and in fact, I know there's going to be another music platform that's going to outdo Spotify.
Really?
And pay artists better. Yeah. I mean, TikTok is in the works right now with another company that I think is going to completely outdo Spotify. It has to happen eventually. But, artists need to be represented and they need to be paid. And I don't know how they even got away with doing Spotify, honestly, but there's people that argue like, well, if someone buys your album or your CD or your record, you have no way of tracking how much they were listening to it, and you wouldn't get paid after they bought it one time. Well, it's kind of true in a way, but
those 0.01% sure add up.
It's
eventually.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So, okay, Marcus, there are a lot of people that are going to be on here, not necessarily now live at 1 in the afternoon in Pacific time, but they will find us.
Absolutely.
For people that don't know you, I know you're from Idaho, and I know that there's a lot of music in your. Tell us about. How did your family land from Italy to Idaho? How did this happen?
Yeah. Well, so my dad's side of the family both sides of my family are musical. So my mom's side, the Italian side, is musical too. And so I'll actually just mention that first, because my grandpa played accordion and sang, and his brother played guitar and sang. So, there's music there. My mom played guitar until she met my dad. And then she was just like, he's better than me. And she kind of retreated, I guess.
Oh.
I know she should play again. But anyway, my dad is just extremely talented. And I have my grandparents were opera singers. So,
okay, so they were professional opera singers?
Professional opera singers. So my dad's dad was this amazing baritone. And then my grandma, so my grandpa was awesome. And then my grandma would accompany him, and she was an amazing singer.
Amazing. And where were they? Were they in Idaho?
They were in Pocatello, and Pocatello is this town that's in eastern Idaho, and all these people ended up there because of the railroad. That's why they were there.
I was just going to say, what brought them there? Okay.
Yeah, and Boise was like, Boise's the bigger city,
right?
Still, but it was, for a while, it was between Pocatello and Boise, and Pocatello would grow, and then Boise would go, and they were just kind of in competition. And eventually Pocatello just kind of stopped progressing in a lot of ways. But the point was, my dad was in his bassinet and my grandma was teaching voice lessons. So he was singing, like, they were pretty religious. So my dad was singing the Lord's Prayer when he was like 4 years old. There's a record of him singing it, and his pitch was just perfect. I mean, it's just crazy. So I grew up around that, and
So tell us about your dad. Tell us about Steve Eaton, because he's, people might not know him by his name, but they certainly would know some of his music.
Yeah, he's, he went down to LA when he was young, actually, even before he graduated high school, kind of ran to LA, and they got signed. His first band got signed, which is kind of crazy, and kind of made some connections there. Went back, finished high school, moved to LA again, and got signed solo. And he was on RCA. So he has 2 solo albums, Steve Eaton, and it had basically not the Wrecking Crew, but the
immediate family guys.
Immediate family guys were all on his stuff. So it's Lee Sklar, Russ Kunkel, Steve Lukather.
Was Danny Korchmar on there?
No, he wasn't. But Larry Knechtel. I mean, There were a few random guys, but all pretty much the same group. But Lee's on everything.
Oh,
Lee's,
you're talking about the section, not the immediate family is the band they are now, but you're talking about the
oh, right. The
section, right?
section.
So
Yes.
it's Russ and Lee, yeah,
Yes.
part of the section. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and Steve Lukather, which is just amazing, you know.
Crazy.
And Larry Knechtel was the guitarist that played on, you know, or guitarist, pianist that played on Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Oh, wow.
And they had this drummer named Jim Gordon that is in prison. You know about him? Killed his mom. I think it's Jim Gordon. Yeah, this drummer that killed his mom because he heard voices in his head, you know. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
But, you know, anyway, so he had these 2 albums, and he did, you know, he did some amazing songwriting. And so his manager got some songs to the Carpenters, and he had the last hit song of the Carpenters, and Anne Murray recorded one of his songs.
Wait, what was the Carpenters hit that he had?
That was called All You Get From Love Is a Love Song. And then yeah, and that's on all of their greatest hits albums, which is still, and he's still getting royalties from it. It's
That's
crazy.
Fantastic.
And then he has this song called Ragdoll that Glenn Campbell recorded, and the Righteous Brothers recorded, and also Art Garfunkel recorded it on his Breakaway album, which is just crazy. So it's kind of like, it's really weird because all these weird convergences have happened where I started playing with Crosby, which is a long story, but we met through a friend. And
we're going to talk about that. You can't just you can't just give us that.
Well, I'll keep going. Okay. But I mean,
But wait, let's go back to so your dad. Yeah. So you had music you always had music in the house. So how did music find its way to you? When did you start?
Well, I started, my grandma, the opera singer, started giving me piano lessons when I was like 5. We were always on her piano, like all of the grandkids. We just go, you know, we always like to play chopsticks, and she knew like all of those standard, you know, you know, those
oh yeah, what was that? Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so I mean, and then I learned, you know, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and you know, she was like a teacher. She was like, okay, here's bass clef, here's treble clef. You have to learn how to read. So I was reading on piano, but then I started messing with my dad's guitar, and I would open the case and just start playing it. And I was like 7 or 8. And when I was 9, you know, my mom actually just convinced my dad, like, you should get him a guitar. So I got one for Christmas, and that was it. Like, I knew how to play it already. It was a spiritual thing where it was like, I picked it up. I pretty much knew what was going on. I'm not, you know, I wasn't like, you know, playing Eddie Van Halen stuff, but I knew chords. And I mean, the first song I learned was really complex, and I just feel like it was a soul thing. It was like, oh yeah, we've
talked about this before.
We've talked about it. Yeah.
Because I believe that when things come that naturally, it's because we've done them before.
I think so too. Yeah. It's like a past life thing. So I picked it up, I knew how to play, and then it's just kind of been a love affair, you know, and it wasn't something that I thought, this is going to be my job. I never thought that until high school.
Wait, what did you think was going to be your job?
Well, I mean, I have a lot of interests, you know. I thought maybe I was going to be a graphic style artist, meaning I thought maybe I would be a painter for a while.
Are you still painting, by the way? I've seen your art. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm still painting, and I was sculpting a lot. And then, you know, at a certain point, I thought I was really into birds of prey. I was a falconer. So
you were? You're no longer a falconer?
No, well, I mean, I guess maybe once you are, you always are. But
I would think.
I was doing bird rehabilitation, and I thought that I was going to be like a biologist studying birds of prey or something like that, which is kind of funny.
How did that interest come to you?
My dad was doing music for somebody's films who was an expert in birds of prey. So when I was like 5 or 6, he took me up to this guy's house. His name was Morley Nelson. I went to his house, and I was just like, oh my God. He had a bald eagle. He had a bunch of golden eagles. He had a gerfalcon, a white gerfalcon, which is the biggest falcon in the world. Just beautiful.
Were you fearless, Marcus? Did these birds not scare you?
Oh, I mean, no, that was not. I was just thinking, like, how do I do this? You know? So he took them out, and he flew them for us. So he released them, and then he had this lure. And you swing this lure around, and they come through, and they do a couple passes, and then they catch the lure. And I was just like, oh my God. And I was 5 or 6. So, I mean, the impression that this left on me was like, I didn't stop talking about it for years. And I went to the library, and I checked out every book on birds that I could. I mean, I was really young, So by the time I was 9, I think I didn't shut up about it. So my mom, who was really involved with animals, she was in school to be a vet, said, well, maybe we can try to get some injured animals, because we checked on the falconry license, you had to be 14. So she helped, and she got this, basically called the Fish and Game, and they said, yeah, we really could use another raptor rehabilitator. So we read everything about it. We built some places and started fixing up these injured birds of prey. So that was my background. And
Wow.
and actually on my guitar, on my new guitar, there's, I have all these, I have a feather.
Oh, what? Tell us it now. Is this a Marcus Eaton?
Yeah, this is okay. So
So tell us how this came to
another story.
happen.
This is okay. So I first came to Italy. I told you I came with Roy McAllister, incredible luthier. I have 3 of his guitars, and they're all amazing. And so
What are his are they, do they go by his name? Is that what they're known as?
Yeah, McAllister's. And so, the one was made by Crosby, and he was teaching a class on guitar making, and there were these 2 young students, and we just became friends. Alessio Guarnieri and Marta, his wife now, and that was his girlfriend at the time. So Marta Ferroni, she kept her last name, but they go under Guarnieri Guitars. That's their brand. So they showed me
how long have they been making guitars?
Well, that was in 2012, so that was 10 years ago, right? And they're young. He's only 35. So when I met them, he was 25 and she was like 21 or something, 20. I didn't realize how young they were, but the next year I was back, they showed me one of their guitars, and I was like, oh my God, like this is one of the, I've seen a lot of luthiers, and there are a lot of amazing luthiers in Italy in particular, and these young guys just making incredible stuff. And
so does the student surpass the teacher, or are the teacher's guitars still the?
Well, technically he wasn't really their teacher. It was just a master class, but he was a huge inspiration. So they took this inspiration, and we started talking, and we would just had 10 years to develop this friendship, and we'd talk, and they'd show me guitars, and I'd be like, God, you guys are really great. Have you thought about this or that? And so we had this 5-year conversation that was just like, man, it would be so cool to do something like this, and maybe it'd be cool if we tried this. And then we got serious. They got serious about it, and they basically started saying, hey, what do you think about this design? Oh, that's amazing. Well, should we try this? Yeah, let's try it. So this is the result of like 5 years worth of conversation and then 2 years of building it.
Okay, so now tell us a couple of features that are unique to
Marcus
Eaton.
Yeah, so this is the body. They did this really cool cutaway.
I see the cutaway is really cool and
it's
unusual.
flat, and they did it so they could put a piece of art here, so that's really cool. It's a 13 fret guitar. So a normal Western, guitar has 14 frets to the body. So this is for guitar geeks, basically. It moves the bridge back further down. And because of that, the geometry is different. And technically it's kind of like a nylon string, because nylon string classical guitars are really loud because they're 12 frets, and the bridge is almost in the middle of the body. So this is sort of a hybrid, if you want to look at it that way. Takes a little getting used to, because you're like, oh, that's the, you have to look at the dots to make sure you know where you are. And then it has this amazing little sound hole on top. This is like a monitor speaker. You can hear everything so well, and it's such a joy to play because you can hear yourself.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. It's got, this is their logo, which is a deer.
Wait, you're oh, there you go. It was in the light. That's very cool. And now and their name again is?
It's Guarnieri.
Guarnieri Guitars.
Guarnieri. Yeah. And in fact, there's this is a Marcus Eaton
edition.
Yeah, this is called the G1 Guarnieri 1 ME Marcus Eaton model. So I signed the the tag.
How
And
cool is that?
this top is spruce top, and it's from I think it's called Valle de Fiume, which is the same place where the tops for the Stradivarius violins came from. So the lineage of these guitars is pretty amazing. So it's got this beautiful back.
Beautiful.
This is mango wood, which is a type of mango that you eat, which is just like a sustainable wood, or more sustainable.
Gorgeous. Absolutely
It's got
gorgeous.
All these beautiful wood. These are all wood inlays.
Mm.
And then also along the back, which is kind of hard to see, these beautiful stripes. The feather,
Very cool.
which is amazing. That's a falcon feather. This is a 5-piece neck. It's got this piece of ebony with 2 pieces of maple. And then it's got under the hood, basically, it has a hidden electric pickup. So this is electric and acoustic, and it splits out into 2. It's insane. So it's basically an electric and acoustic. I can plug it into an amp, and it can sound like a Les Paul or a Strat, and then it's got the acoustic side. So for solo things, it's just mind-boggling. It is so cool. And I'm just tapping into the potential of the guitar, you know.
How long have you had it?
I've had it basically just over a year, because I got it like last summer. I got it last August, basically, you know. So it's really badass.
And is this really unique to the other guitars that they make?
This is kind of like their first really flagship model. Wow. Which is what I encouraged them to do when we first started talking, because I was just like, look, everybody's making copies of Martins and Taylors and old guitars. And I said, no one's really doing a guitar that's built for like a modern player, for someone like me. Let's do something, you know, I said, it would be really cool if you guys thought about doing a model for someone like me that really hit all these different marks. So there's probably 20 things on this guitar that really haven't been done before. Wow. They've been done, but not well, or separately, you know, but not all together. There's also a couple pieces of carbon fiber in the neck, and the neck, it's routed out, and there are 2 pieces, and this thing is so fast, like it reacts so quickly to what you're playing that it's actually kind of hard to get used to in a way. Other guitars are a little bit slower, and it's really wild. So anyway, that's some of the
very athletic guitar player too.
Yeah.
And I imagine it suits that for you.
Yeah, and it plays like up here. It's just all this area up here is not even usually that playable. It doesn't sound very good. Yeah, it's really wild.
Okay, so while we're here, before we get back to conversation, how about playing us something? Can you play us something new that we haven't heard before?
Yeah. Let's see. Got this new thing. Let me back up a little bit. We've got this new song called Something True. And I just kind of finished recording this. I'm going to check really quickly, because I really care.
Yes.
I'm going to check my tuning real fast, because
yes, do it.
I realized what happened was you fly, you get on the airplane, and then, you know, you start tuning stuff, and you're kind of in a version of the tuning, but let me just check my tuning.
Absolutely. We got the time. It's only 1:30 in the afternoon here. We're good.
Yeah. I just ate dinner, you know.
That's crazy. And I bet it was good too. Everything's good in Italy.
You get spoiled here. God, it's just crazy. So this song is called Something True.
And is this on, I know you have something that's going to be released soon. Is that true?
I do. I haven't figured out. I don't think this is going to go on the new album, because it doesn't fit the group of songs that I have. But it will be out soon. it'll be either another EP or just another release, you know. All right, here we go. Falling out of love with the world, have to learn to keep the faith. Everyone has the answer, but no one wants to wait to find something true. Always hoping that some love finds its way back to you. Things you never saw now becoming clear to you. Now you see something true. Now you see something true. Falling into a slumber, have to learn to stay away. What's the use of this heart? It's always got to break to find something true. Always hoping that some love finds its way back to you. Things you never saw now becoming clear to you. Now you're seeing something true. Now you're seeing something. All the time staring in the gate. All the times I've been forced to wait. How much more can a man take till he finds something true? Locked out of the city, cannot climb the walls. I keep waiting for the signal, in case the gate should fall. Find something true. Always hoping that some love finds its way back to you. Things you never saw now becoming clear to you. Now you're seeing something true. Now you're seeing something true. Now you're seeing something true. Ooh. Now you're seeing something true. Now you're seeing something true. Your mic's off.
I muted myself so I wouldn't make noise during that. That was just beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
So, okay, so that's not in keeping. So now I feel like, can you play us something that is in keeping? Can you play something that's about to come out?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Let's give us something else.
Just a sec here. Let's see. So something that's coming out, or
Yeah, something you said this isn't in keeping with the music that's coming out on the new LP. So maybe this is something that
let's see.
is.
Yeah. This is well, I did release this song, but I think this is a really good sentiment. But it's called it's called what is it called? It's called Obvious. And I'll play you a piece. I'll play you Obvious because that's, in fact, here's something really interesting. So right when I got to Italy, I had these friends that were going to hire me to play this gig, but the gig didn't happen. Long story, but they said, hey, how would you like to join us for this trip on a catamaran on the Amalfi Coast? And I was like, I'd love to do that. So I played for them each night and we just had fun. It was amazing. And we got in front of these islands, and when I wrote this song, Obvious, you know, there's all these different metaphors that you can use, obviously, for music. But what came to me right before, it's funny because the timing was like right before 2020, where it's just like you feel really held back in life and you feel like, God, you know, why can't, you know, it's like with music, even though I feel like I know I'm doing what I love and I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, there are all these blocks all the time, you know, and you just go, dude, how do I move forward? And part of creativity is either figuring out how to move forward or just moving around something. So anyway, I wrote this song, and it's kind of like when the shit hits the fan, that's the sign that you're moving towards something great, you know, and that's the idea of the song. But where I placed the song in my mind, I was thinking about the Odyssey, and just these ideas came to my mind. And I was just thinking about like the winds pushing you back and the sirens, you know, that are in the Odyssey with these beautiful mermaids, basically, that are luring people to these islands and they trap them, you know, and they're trapped. And so I was out on this boat, on this catamaran, and I just was talking to the captain, and I said, what are these islands out here? And he's like, those are Isola di Gali. And he said, yeah, matter of fact, he's a British guy. Matter of fact, those are the islands from Homer's Odyssey where they had the sirens were. And I said, no way. That's where the song was. So I filmed a version of this playing on the boat, and it was kind of a surreal moment. I was like,
is the video out? Can we see it?
I posted it. Yeah, I posted it on my Instagram page, just a little clip of it. But it's the idea. I mean, I can't believe it, because like that's the exact place that I set the song. So it was really cool.
Meant to be.
Yeah. So this is Obvious. So this is what it sounds like. It goes like this. If only this could mean something, then something could be real. Then I could sail beyond all the winds that keep me still, either trapped by the sirens or the waves that push us back inside some holding pattern foretold by the zodiac. Silent order of everything, just the rise and fall of your breathing. How can you be so full of doubt when it's obvious things are working out? When it's obvious things are working out. If only tension could be peaceful, then peace would endure. The smile never felt so painful as one that is unsure. Alone into the future, with time moving so swift, can't see what lies ahead now. Mountain hidden in the mist, silent order of everything, just the rise and fall of your breathing. How can are working out. Silence cannot reach the distant shore. My eyes should never gaze upon the ones they're looking for. But meanwhile, winds are picking up, course is straightened out. Well, it's obvious things are working out. In the trinity of the sky, where the sun takes his bow, and as we're getting closer, every moment becomes now. The silent order of everything, just the rise and fall of your breathing. How can you be so full of doubt when it's obvious things are working out? Yeah, well, it's obvious things are working out.
Oh, phew. How beautiful. Okay, and so this is out already. This single is out, and people can access this
Yeah,
already.
yeah, definitely check that out. There's a really great video for that one.
When it's
So,
obvious things are working out, that's what's the title?
obvious.
Obvious, just
yeah,
obvious. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, this group of tunes is really cool because pretty much all of these songs were from 2020. And I was just working alone, and then I had just kind of my favorite people play on there. But the collaboration that's really cool is I have a friend in London who's this amazing viola violin player, and we just,
wow.
we'd call on video chat, and I'd say, hey, I want to do these string parts, and she had to put together a home studio to keep working. So she was recording on her iPad, and God, like all of the string parts that are on this album, she recorded there.
On an
And it's just
iPad? That's
on an
crazy.
iPad. Yeah, it's just amazing. So, modern technology, as much as people complain about it, I mean, for recording purposes, it's incredible. People across the world. I mean, right now, I'm in
Yeah,
Italy.
look what we're doing. You're in Italy, I'm in LA, and
Yeah,
we're having this live conversation. It's crazy.
yeah, it's just absolutely incredible that we can do this,
So tell me, Marcus, how I don't know if I was going live 7 days a week when COVID started to amuse myself and to be of service to others, because we were all alone in our homes doing nothing. So how did the pandemic impact you? What were you up to prior to it starting? And did you have plans that were aborted? And what did you end up doing? And
yeah, there were some pretty great plans. I mean, there was
like what?
we got offered this. Well, I was going to go do some stuff with Stephen Bishop actually over in Europe, and he was doing some stuff with Eric Clapton. So that was pretty devastating. I was like, no, but the truth is, with music, you never know until you're
Was
actually.
Bish opening for Clapton?
Well, they're best friends, So
I did not know.
Yeah, they've been best friends forever. So.
Because I mean, I've interviewed him, but not Clapton. I've interviewed Stephen a bunch of times, but I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, he's really tight with Clapton. So yeah, we were supposed to go over and do something, and I was going to open those shows, and it was in March. It was the end of March, and it just never happened.
So these were already announced and tickets were already bought for these shows. It was like a thing.
it was going to be a thing. And then it was like pretty soon, like the whispers were like, well, okay, you know, we may have to postpone this. And then
Okay,
next
but now
thing,
wait a minute. So the Bish and Clapton were going to be on stage together playing music,
I think so. I think that was the thing. Yeah. I think
and
that
you were
was,
going to open for them.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So there was that. But, you know, again, like I said, I mean, I've had so many, I don't mean this to sound like
Near
dramatic.
miss, yeah.
Yeah, just as a musician, like by the time you've had as much, you know, playing experience as I have, you've had so many letdowns that the only time you really believe it is when you're doing it. You're like, okay, now I'm here doing it, so I believe that it's going to happen, you know. And then other times, you know, oh yeah, we're gonna get you this gig, and then, you know, oh yeah, sorry, it didn't work out. That happens all the time.
Well,
But
before we go back to the stuff you've actually
yeah,
done, so okay, so
yeah.
you were about to. How close were you to embarking on this? When was it going to supposed to
Well,
happen?
that was going to be at the end of March of 2020,
Oh.
and so that was like, you know, coming right up,
Mhm.
you know, around March. I was in Italy
And
for
did
my,
that all happen through Liz? Was that happening through Liz?
yes,
Well,
yeah,
so then I'm feeling pretty good that I made that
yeah. You
connection
hooked me
before I
up.
got.
You hooked me up. Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
Yeah,
So, but it didn't
good.
happen. So, oof.
Well, that
All
didn't
right.
happen. But you know, the truth of the matter was, I felt eerily prepared for 2020 because 2018 and 19 they were. I mean, I've been really isolated in LA, and it's not because I want to be. It's just that just different things happen, you know, and I didn't have all the work that I wanted, and I'm proud of like all the things that I've done, and there were lots of cool stuff. I scored my brother's film. That was the last time we spoke, actually. That was like the beginning of 2019. I had finished that, and that movie came out that I worked on with my brother, the film.
Remember my name, David Crosby, and
Yes.
you scored it, and we're going to
Yes.
talk
And
about your work with David. But okay,
yeah,
so that had just come out, and you guys were kind of flying pretty high. That was
yeah, that
very
was 29.
that
That
was
was January of 2019. And exactly a year later, COVID hit. Good news though is that I had all these songs, and I was like, I just seriously, I didn't even think twice about it. I was like, you know, I'm going to use this opportunity to finish this album. And that's what I did. So I just kind of, I guess, hunkered down, you know. I mean, it didn't feel like work. It felt great. So it was really cool. And I just went into it, and in a way actually kind of made me happy because I thought, I thought, man, this is going to improve the world. People are just going to be cooler. Um, we're going to think about what we're doing. You know, the environment improved for a while in LA. The air was really clean. And I just thought, God, this is cool. This is going to be like a reset button. And all the artists.
do you think it
Yeah,
has been?
no,
I don't
no,
either.
not at all. I think it's worse than it was now because
I
for
think
a
it's
lot of,
isolated us, and I think it's been divisive, not cohesive.
I agree with
Mhm.
you. And I think that it just broke people's brains in half. And
Look what it did to Clapton's brain.
yeah,
I mean, he
yeah,
like it's enough. He
yeah.
actually just
And
flew to Chicago to see him, and
the thing is, I can't blame him for what happened too, because you know he had a really bad experience with the AstraZeneca, you know, shot, and it made his hands go numb, and he was just, it was hell for him, you know.
Mhm.
So nonetheless, everybody's entitled to their own experience, and so I just, but you know, yeah, it sucks because even I thought it was a good pause for musicians that have been like on constant tour,
Mhm.
because I thought they'd go, oh wow, maybe I've been taking this for granted, and no, didn't happen. But it's okay. It was good thinking, and I'm happy I got my album done, and I got a lot of work done, and it was great. But you know, after the year, I was just like, oh my god, I need to get out and play
You were one
this.
of the first people that I can remember doing international travel. You went to Italy, like COVID
Yeah,
was still kind of raging.
yeah, we went. I went back. I got back right when COVID started, which was like March 3rd, and they closed everything down on like the 8th. And then I went back there the following year, so 2021. But I went back in like right when they opened it up, pretty much like in June. And it was, you know, it was amazing over here because no one was here. But
Did you get sick?
no, no, not. I did get COVID this year, but not then. But
Mhm.
you know, everyone was required to wear a mask, and even when I arrived in Florence, we had to wear masks outside. And then the next day, the city passed the ordinance that you could take your mask off outside.
Right.
So it was pretty, it was pretty severe over here, but they had a huge outbreak. So
Yes.
they had to do everything that they could to try to mitigate what was
So
happening.
what were you doing how was it over there in the middle of the pandemic? What were you doing over there? And what was life like then?
I played a couple gigs and I just basically just needed to see, these guys pick up my guitar, and that was amazing.
So that was the purpose for the trip. Okay.
Pretty much. I mean, it was that, and I took my best friend with me, and we just needed it. After 2020, it was just like having the experience of picking up this guitar after seeing it basically in progress for 2 years, and just being with my friends and eating amazing food and gelato and pizza was just like, God, it just doesn't get any better than that. And in LA, it was like people were, oh, hey man, good to see you. They're doing this, and oh, don't come close. I mean, my friends wouldn't come into my apartment, a couple of my friends, and I was like, dude, come on, man. I understand that you're worried, but come on, man. You're gonna die. And something's kill
well,
you.
you're talking to a COVID crazy. Until recently, I haven't.
Well, I understand you get to a certain point too. And I'm saying, like, if you're at risk, okay, look, I get that. But I have friends that are, they're in their 20s, late 20s, early 30s. And I know it's not discriminating, but at the same time, I'm like, guys, this fear is what you should really be afraid of. It's really paranoia. And we're outside with we can be outside without our masks on. We're good. It's proven. Just God, don't be driving in your car by yourself with your mask on. It's not necessary. You're not going to catch it from yourself, just stuff like that.
So, okay. So
we've gone off.
Has life gone back to normal, or do you feel like life is normal for you?
For me, no, I don't. That's why.
How not?
Well, that's why I'm in Italy, because I'm just trying to find new opportunities for myself, because I don't think the opportunities that I actually really need and deserve exist in the US right now. And it could just be because of the type of music that I play, or, it could just be because Europe and these places appreciate what I'm doing more. And so
is it back to normal in Italy? Are people packing the cafes and going to the clubs and doing all of that?
I think slowly but surely, life is getting back to how it was. It feels really good here.
Are there a lot of tourists again? Is that happening again?
Yep, definitely. There's definitely tourism happening. Yeah, and compared to last year, I can definitely tell you there's way more people here. Last year was just empty. No one came here. So there were a lot of restrictions and masks, and you had to have a green pass to do train stuff. It was a lot. There was a lot, but we hit it at the tail end of some of the bureaucracy. Luckily, but it's wonderful here. And anyway, so I'm just trying to find these new opportunities. So nothing's really gone back. I don't know if it will ever go back to normal in a way. So I don't know. How about you? What do you feel? What's your?
I'm trying to get back to semi-normal, and this is like really my first. I have the new booster, and I feel a little protected now, and so we went to Las Vegas. I gambled in a casino for the first time. I ate indoors and, did all this stuff that I hadn't considered doing before. We're going to go to San Francisco at the end of October. We're going to go to Paris in April. I mean, it's time to live again. I literally was in my house for 2.5 years. I mean, it was just crazy. So I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. But okay, so there were plenty of, I understand what you're saying about that you haven't been finding the opportunities in LA, and certainly things for the last couple of years have been nuts, just non-existent, but you have had a lot of opportunities in your life. And so let's talk about some of them, because people out there don't know. I mean, you opened for Bob Dylan, for Christ's sake. I did. You opened for the Dave Matthews Band. So let's talk about, how did your career start to unfold, Marcus? So you're in Idaho.
I started playing out, and I was playing in bars when I was underage. I started playing with my dad when I was 9, but When I was
Wow.
16, we had my first band and we started playing this place called the First National Bar. And we just, the Continental Bistro, these places that had, the bistro had outdoor music. It was really fun. And it was just me and a drummer. And he kind of
You
followed,
and a drummer?
yeah,
That's an
just me.
unusual pairing.
Yeah, it was way ahead of its time.
What kind of stuff were you doing?
We were doing like original stuff, but
Mhm.
we were covering like Rusted Root, and we were playing kind of obscure stuff. We were playing Sting songs, some Police stuff. We were playing some Dave Matthews stuff. We were playing probably like some Pearl Jam stuff. I mean, we kind of
Mhm.
picked from a number of
Mhm.
different. It was pretty eclectic in a
Mhm.
lot of ways, but people loved it. It's kind of jam music. We just really just go all over the place. And with a drummer, you can do that. You don't need, the bassist doesn't need to follow along. If there's two of us, our name was ESP because we would just like we were really mind reading each other when we played. So
Mhm.
that was really fun. So we did that, and then actually, to skip ahead, when I was 20 or 21, I moved to Boise, and it was the same drummer, and we got signed in Boise, and we were selling out the local club there, and there was like a thousand people.
That's really
We were
cool.
It was amazing. We were doing this consistently and consistently enough that two labels.
How did this happen, do you think, Marcus? Was this word of mouth? Was it social media already? What was going on?
There was no social media. It was just all word of mouth, and it was
Mhm.
all about like it was really about getting women to the gigs, meaning that you know
If
it's
women are
always
there, then the men will follow.
yeah, and it was always kind of like I played the same similar music that I'm playing now. It's been my
Mhm.
music, and so there's a lot of like love themed songs, and it's emotional music. It's meant
Mhm.
to be
Yes, it
emotional.
is. Mhm.
So women would show up more than men, and then they started
It
showing
might
up.
have had a little to do with not only the sound, but there might
Yeah,
have been a little look thing going on. Might
yeah,
have been a
maybe
little
maybe
helping you
so.
out.
It's also four guys in the band.
Oh yeah. Well,
So it was cool, and yeah, but we just, man, it was, when I look back, I'm just like, God, we were so lucky, so fortunate. But we had two record label offers. We took one of them, and that wasn't the best deal, but it got us a really good booking agent. And that's when we did a lot of really cool opening shows. Our very first tour was opening for Victor Wooten, which was just badass. I mean, if you don't know who he is, the people out there, he's the bassist for Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. And he's like a musical circus, and he's just
hmm.
so badass. He does I mean, I learned some of his stuff. He showed us his technique, which is just crazy, which is like, this is his bass technique.
Your mic isn't picking up the sound somehow.
Let's try it again.
Okay.
This is on bass. So he showed us all these cool, crazy bass techniques, and he's like one of my number one influences. So he's just really cool. So we did
Wow.
how we opened for Bob Dylan. We opened these amazing shows with
How was
Train.
that? What was that like?
That was, I mean, it was an amazing experience, but
Mhm.
we didn't get much any one-on-one time. In fact, like we showed up there, and the crew was all pissed off, I remember, and I was like, hey, do you know where I can plug in my pedals? The guy goes, no, I don't fucking know you can plug in your pedals. Just like, I mean, okay, the crew, he was just mad. Okay, all right. So I plugged in, and then we got done playing, and I'll never forget, we were just loading our stuff off the stage, and and these guys, the security guards, come up. Don't look at the artist. Don't look at the artist. What? Drop what you're doing. Shut that down. I was like, dude, we just opened. I don't care. So we set our stuff down, and here comes Bob, and he's like, whoa, looking around with the band, and they're all stoked, because you, as you would be. So they're coming up to the stage and we just like watched them walk on. And then it was like, holy shit, we just played with Dylan. It was crazy, amazing. And the reason we got on the show is because we had a really good following. We had a really, really good local following, and they knew that putting us on there would get people there, and it did. So
Wow, you bring people to a Dylan concert. That's saying quite a lot.
yeah. And I played with a lot of people, God,
You
there's
played
so
with
many.
Dave Matthews, didn't you?
Yeah, I did a side stage thing with him. That was kind of after the band, but I played solo and then I formed a new band. So I did a solo, a duo, and a band performance 3 years in a row out at the Gorge on the side stage. But again, that kind of sounds like, wow, it's really cool. But like a career is full of highs and lows. And for
So
example,
tell us a high.
well, that was a high, but then like the third year we found out, for example, we before the shows, it was like, oh, we better go to Trader Joe's and stock up on some cereal and some bread so we can eat, because you're in the middle of nowhere at the Gorge. The third year we found out, or maybe the second year we found out, oh, there's catering. We didn't have a manager taking care of the shit that needed to be done. And it was like, what? There's catering. Yeah, come on down. And we go down there and there's like, oh, we've got salmon fillets and this fresh salad. They had 3 meals a day. And we're just, oh God, you just want to die because you're just so like, dude, this sucks that we didn't know this, Then the third year we were like, well, we're going down to catering, of course. So I'm just saying, like, it's just those funny little things that aren't funny when you find out later. What was the question though? I forgot.
So
one of the highs.
Yeah, give us
and
a
then
high or two.
Like the David Crosby thing was amazing.
So how did you connect with David Crosby? How did that happen?
That happened because I played a show opening for Tim Reynolds, who's like one of my guitar heroes. He plays with Dave Matthews. That was another reason that Dave Matthews connection happened. But I opened for him in Aspen, Colorado. This guy came up after the show and was like, dude, you're amazing. And my name's Norm. And signed my CD. I said, okay. So he hired me to play his Christmas party that year. And this guy, it turns out that he had a record label that actually released CPR albums, which is Crosby's band with his son. And he's like, man, I think you should really meet David Crosby. He's a friend.
I've known Jeff Pivar for like almost 40 years.
So I'm sure you remember when that happened for him. I'm sure it was really amazing, So Norm, my friend, he made this introduction and I got some emails, and I will never forget. He sent this email out. Hey, you got to see this guy play. And, he's just getting started is what he said. And, he could use some advice. And Crosby writes back, he's not just getting started. He's been playing guitar for a long time. Nobody plays like that that's just started. So what's the story? Something like that. And, it was this really funny email. And I told my mom, you're not going to believe this, but I got a message from David Crosby today. She's like, what? Because that was like her favorite band in college. Like that was it. All she listened to. Yeah. And so I told her, and next thing I knew, Norm arranged this dinner for us when I was in LA. We had dinner together and I met Crosby, and he's hilarious and really charming.
Well, what year is this, Marcus, approximately?
That was 2000 and that must have been 2009, I think. 2009. So we met up and I said, oh man, it's so nice to meet you. And he's like, take my number. It was just like, well, hey, take my number, man. We got to hang. Okay, great. But, that's lip service from most people, but he actually meant it. And so I got together with him in Boise. I saw
was it intimidating at all, Marcus, knowing his reputation? And
I luckily didn't know a whole lot. And that was, like a good type of ignorance to have, because it wasn't that intimidating. And had I known more, I would have, been like, oh my God, but I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking about, the truth is I was just going like, again, with these experiences, you're just like, well, he probably doesn't care that much, maybe he'll like this, but we really hit it off. And he came through Boise, we had dinner, and then he said, hey, I want to show you this guitar. So we went up to his room and he said, yeah, play me something. And I played him this song called Smile. And he's just like, oh my God, you got to play for my son. And he called James. And after that, he invited me to play on his album. It was pretty, like, you know, that was a couple months, but like Smile has this really cool, this is the song.
Play it.
But it has this really cool section. Listen. You know, so he loves Michael Hedges, and it just, that's one of my influences too. And you know,
And
we
he
hit
said
it.
of you that you play like God on a good day. I believe it was, wow.
Shit, you can't. That's a great quote.
It's a great
Gonna
quote.
follow me around for a long time. So I'm proud
That's
of that.
forever. That's a forever.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
you got along personally as well. And so
Yeah,
how did it evolve from there? Because more happened.
Yeah, from there he just said, how would you like to play on my album? I said, I'd love to. So again, I didn't really trust that it was going to happen. So he said it. I didn't tell anybody. And I showed up in LA. His son picked me up from the airport and we started on this album, you know, and then I told, you know, my family, guess where I'm at? I'm, you know, the studio. And it was kind of unfathomable because again, like this is pretty much still before social media. It was like Facebook was around, but Instagram wasn't really happening.
Right.
And you know, if Instagram had been happening, I'd probably been there all day, just like check out the guitar, you know. But it wasn't like that. And so even in, you know, 2010 when we started, it was Halloween of 2010 actually. It just wasn't like that with social media. So just it took a long time. It was a 3-year album process.
Wow.
So by the time it was done, I was just like, God, are we going to play this or what? Like, when's this shit going to happen? And it finally happened. And it was amazing. Like it, you know, the album came out. We toured a little bit, not very much because it was in between Crosby, Stills and Nash stuff, but we played on Fallon and that was the highlight for me. That was like a huge highlight to play on Fallon and do those songs and be part of something, you know, because we were writing together too. So it was amazing. So
wow,
it's a huge opportunity, you know. Unfortunately, I wish it could have like continued or, you know, like.
So what happened? Why didn't it?
Well, you've seen the movie about Crosby, so you probably see how, you know, he's a difficult person, you know, and he's an awesome guy, but he's also really difficult, and he's a very polar person. And you know, it just was kind of like one of those things where it was just like, all right, I'm done with this, and moved on to the next thing. And
how did the film happen, Marcus?
The film was kind of like when we were in the studio, I said, Crosby, you should be filming this. He goes, we don't have any fucking money to do that. Those are his exact words. I said, well, I know somebody that would do it. Really? Who? I said, my brother. He's like, oh yeah, well, is he any good? And I said, yeah, you should meet. He's like, well, I'd love to meet him. So I introduced them, those two. And my brother filmed this series of vignettes that ended up on rollingstone.com. They're amazing from the album making. And so that's what my brother.
Had AJ done a documentary prior to this?
No, he hadn't. Not a full length one. I mean, he's done interviews and stuff, a bunch of those, but so he used those and basically through a series of events and friendships and stuff that he had cultivated.
By the way, Lee Sklar just wrote, we are all expendable in the end.
Yeah, that's
even Sklar.
Dude,
no, I don't know.
So, oh my God, he's so funny. I love Lee is the best dude ever.
Well, I will agree with you there. I adore the man.
He's my absolute favorite. And he played on my dad's albums and he played on my album.
I know that to be true. That's great.
I'm so grateful for him. I'm so grateful that he exists. He's with his beard, he literally is a legend. He's like Gandalf the legend or something like that.
I'm in his book, which is.
Are you? Oh,
I am. I have like really good placement and everything.
Oh, that's
very kind to me.
I need to get his book. Everybody Loves Me. is the
It's a
title.
pretty, it's pretty fantastic. It's
Yeah.
hysterical photographs. Okay, so
Yeah. So my brother filmed these vignettes and basically, like I said, through a
and wait,
series of,
what was he doing with the vignettes as that he was
well,
filming?
they were on rollingstone.com
Oh,
and
oh,
they were promoting the album, but he used those to pitch the idea of this to Cameron Crowe. And Cameron
how
was
did
like,
he get that opportunity?
through a friend of ours that's a producer that knew him that suggested it. It was her suggestion. Hey, you know what? It would be interesting. And so we had this meeting with him, and he was beside himself. He always wanted to do this. So
Wow.
it took a long time to work out the details as it goes. But I mean, honestly, like it's a miracle that happened. But it's just amazing. I'm still amazed that happened. It's
A
hard to
great
believe.
film. It's a
I mean,
great
my brother
film.
was nominated for a Grammy for
It's
the,
an amazing film.
yeah. So it's cool. It's really cool. And it changed our lives.
And so was it, I guess it was an automatic thing that you were going to score it. I assume that was just.
I had, in the back of my mind, I was just like, dude, I know what needs to happen. But yeah, there was kind of two sides to.
Had you done that before, Marcus?
I'd scored some things, like I scored a dance film that was really interesting, but it was kind of like, yeah, I'd done some score work, but I think anybody, I mean, I know that you have firsthand experience with this, but anybody that says, oh, hey, we have a score for you, they go, great. And then they go, I have no idea how to do this. Even if they've done it before, you're just like, I don't even know where to begin. And then you just kind of start putting it together. It's really weird, but it
I know
does work.
somebody that's done that about 105
Yeah,
times.
yeah, exactly. So it's a fascinating thing, but I mean, I knew that there was the potential for that to happen, but then when it did, I was like, yes, this is so cool because having that firsthand experience playing with Crosby, knowing all of his guitar tunings, then being able to like interpolate that in a more cinematic way was really cool.
By the
Really.
way, Lee says, I was just with Pivar and his story is very similar about Crosby.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Pivar says,
And he
Crosby,
played with him forever because he played with Crosby, Stills and Nash for like a gazillion years. So he really has.
yeah, and he says, Pivar says, Crosby's a lot of people. That's what he says, which is funny. Yeah. But the thing is, like, I'm really lucky to have this experience. I mean, I'm young.
Do you still have a relationship with him?
Yeah, I mean, we keep in touch periodically, and I love, his wife Jan is amazing, and I don't have any.
Was he happy with the film? I assume that he was.
I think he was really happy with it.
Mhm.
I really do. I think he was pretty proud of what happened, and I mean, it's truthful, and I know
It's
that
really
some
hard
of
to
that-
watch. It's very disturbing.
Yeah,
A lot of
yeah.
it, yeah.
It is. It's hard. It's very truthful, but
Mhm.
I think he was happy to probably get a lot of that off of his chest, and I think it was kind of a cathartic experience for him. And they did a hell of a job. I mean, editing that
It's
is
excellent.
a lot. Mm-hmm.
Do you
And to be able
think
to
that they'll ever? Do you think
play
Crosby,
together
isn't it?
again,
Yeah. Do you think they'll ever be able to mend this stuff?
patch it up. I really don't think so at this
Mhm.
point. It's all dependent on one person. So you pretty much know at the on the film that it's like, well, probably not.
Mhm.
I maybe
I heard
who
there's
knows?
somebody else in the band who's gotten sober recently, so you never know what things can happen.
Oh,
Hmm.
well,
Yeah.
shit, who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? It's interesting to be a part of that, just kind of a part of that lineage of people, because that Laurel Canyon thing it's so far gone, but to have a direct connection to that and all the things that went on there, and to hear stories and just kind of be privy to that is pretty crazy for somebody.
By the way, too, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I don't want to forget to say this. Speaking of documentaries, I got to see the Immediate Family documentary that Denny
Oh, you
Tedesco
saw it.
and I got to tell you,
Yeah.
it is. Wow, it is one of the best music documentaries I've ever seen. It's
That's amazing. My friend is the director, and he's the guy that he's directed a couple music videos for me. So
Well, I
that's
got to
really
tell you,
cool.
he
Jack,
did
Jack
a
Black.
brilliant job. It's a
That's awesome.
wonderful film.
I
It's a
can't wait to see it.
wonderful film. Yeah.
That's so
Um,
cool.
so Marcus, if you're at
Yeah,
this stage, you've gone to Italy because it's more
yeah,
accepting there, they're more into what you do. If
yeah,
if it was the best of all worlds,
yeah.
how would you like your life to unfold here in this next, let's say in the next year
Well,
even?
I would love to. I mean, first off, I would love to be playing all over and play some really, really great gigs for great audiences, and really connect with people, because that's what I'm doing this for. I love connecting with people, and I love connecting here.
Mm,
Because that's what music's about. It's about
mhm.
an emotional connection. So I'd love to be doing that, and I'd really love to collaborate with more people. You know,
Is
and
there
I'd love to
somebody
do.
that you've had your sights set on that you've attempted to connect with or that
Um,
you'd still like to?
oh God, there's so many people. I think it'd be I mean, I'd love to do something with like I think it'd be really cool to do something with Ed Sheeran. I think it'd be amazing to do something with Sting. I'd love to do.
Okay, so it's funny because Andrew's been uh contrasting you with Ed Sheeran. He actually said that he thinks you have a better voice and you're a better guitarist than Ed Sheeran.
Oh,
He did on this thread, but you are reminiscent. The better way kind of a little bit reminds me of Sting. There's something sort of, you're
yeah,
very Marcus. Um,
yeah. No, there's definitely. I mean, he's one of my influences. So it's just kind of in there, along with a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's like Sting, Ed Sheeran. I'd love to do. There's this girl I've been listening to named Yeba, who is just she is so badass, and she's done collaborations with a bunch of people. But man, she's incredible.
have you
And
ever attempted to reach out to any of these people or have someone reach out on your behalf?
if I felt like yeah, I mean, I with Sting a little bit, only because I'm friends with his guitarist
Mhm.
Dominic Miller. But at this point, it's just kind of like things just have to unfold however they're
Mhm.
going to. And I'm kind of tired of trying to do things, and I just have to just be like,
The
whatever. I'm
business
putting it
of the
out there.
business is a
Yeah,
nightmare.
I'm just
Yeah.
put it out there, and it's just like it'll come back. Whatever's going to happen will happen, and I'm just trying to be more zen about it. Because if you just keep pushing this agenda, or if you don't have somebody who's actually helping you with the right connections, it sucks. So
Would you like to
uh,
score more?
I'd love to. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'd love to score more. I'd also love to do stuff with like some European musicians that a lot of people don't know about. There's a guy over here named Fink that's amazing. There's a
Mhm.
guy I'm talking in the UK, but
Mhm.
I mean, God, something with like Peter Gabriel, or I know he hasn't done anything for
I
a
was going to
while.
say, is he still playing? Is he still doing
He's
stuff?
still doing stuff, but
Mhm.
man, I just love to do something with him. I'd love to do
Mhm.
something with like there's a flamenco guitarist named Vicente Amigo.
Mhm.
It's like the ultimate flamenco player, and just I have a lot of interest in difference. I'd love to do something with Snarky Puppy. I think that would be amazing. You
You
know those
mentioned this,
guys?
so no, you mentioned them the last time that you were on, and I don't know them.
Oh my God. Yeah, they're just crazy. You have to check them out. I mean,
Or
they're just
I'm making a note to myself to.
fabulous, incredible band of just, and I know, some of the guys in the band too, but it's like you have to find your way, and you have to have people appreciating what you're doing before these things happen, you
The
know?
first time I saw you play, you were playing with Jeff Young, who's played with
Yeah.
Jackson Brown for a gazillion years, and Danny
Yeah.
D'Andrea, and you were, I called you football because you were like the most athletic guitarist I have ever seen.
That's
Is there something you can play to exemplify that? I know you were doing that in the context of a band. Do you have a
yeah.
song that you can play?
Yeah, I mean, what, like, just that has like some really crazy guitar
Yeah,
parts.
because your guitar work, you know, you've played a few beautiful songs, but I don't know that we've gotten to see the crazy shit you can do on guitar.
Can you hear that?
Yes, I can.
I'm just playing a little something because that's,
Well, yeah,
can you hear that?
I did hear it, but I'm like, keep playing.
Yeah, I really, really love to play, and I try to play every day.
So, all right. So we talked earlier, we alluded to the fact that there's something that happened on TikTok recently
Oh
that,
yeah, oh yeah.
that you're gonna tell us about, and then you're gonna demonstrate for us.
Yeah, so last year I found this bow that was for sale on, this was an ad on Instagram. And this is a two-sided bow that's like
Marcus,
synthetic.
can you make your guitar so we can see your guitar?
Yes,
We
yes.
okay.
Yeah, I'll turn this down.
Okay.
This is a two-sided bow. It's made from synthetic horsehair, and it's made specifically for acoustic guitar. And you put rosin on it just like a real bow. And I mean, it sounds amazing. So I did a video of myself playing Last of the Mohicans, and this thing like went viral. So that's my TikTok following. And
Can you give us? Can you give us
yeah, I
that?
Isn't that wild?
That
It's
is so
super cool.
crazy.
But like yeah, it's just,
Woohoo! That's amazing.
isn't that cool?
It's very cool. Very,
So
very cool.
where I'm at, it's in Florence. It's been rainy all day, and it's kind of cold, and so this rosin has to heat up a little bit, and it starts to get kind of scratchy, you know, just like a violin bow. Yeah, this thing is just, I mean, yeah.
Wow.
Anyway,
And
it's
so
so
you
fun.
did it for TikTok. Are you going to do something on, are you going to record something? And
Yeah, I did a new song where I actually layered a bunch of strings on the end, and it's all from the bow, and it just sounds amazing. It's
You
called
used to have a thing, you did something in my living room when you did Women Who Write. You had
yeah.
a layering. What was it that you do? What is it
I
that you
was
do?
I was looping, so I was looping some stuff, and I
You had a
loop, but
lot of layers going on.
yeah, but with the bow, it's like an orchestra. It's super cool.
Wow. So I know you told me that the rosin kind of affects the strings and then you kind of
Yeah,
can't really play after
yeah.
that.
It
So,
just it gets really sticky here, so I have to clean it
so
off.
we, so we, I can't get you to play one more song, huh?
I can do it, and then I should sign off because
Okay, I know it's late there.
it is late here. Not that
So,
I. Let's see. What do you want to hear? Would you
you know
like
what
to?
I was going to ask you to do? We were talking about Sting, and the one cover that I know you've
Oh
done that I've
yeah,
heard is Fragile, which is
yeah. Let's
incredible.
do it. Let's do it.
Right.
That's cool. You ready?
Yes.
He lives right down the road too, somewhere. So.
Well, you got to make that happen, Marcus.
Oh, I know. I know. Blood will flow, fresh and still I want. Dry in the color of the evening sun. Tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away. Something in our minds will always stay. Perhaps this final act was meant to clinch a lifetime's argument. That nothing comes from violence, nothing ever could. For all is born beneath an angry star, lest we forget how fragile we are. On and on, the rain will fall like tears from a star, like tears from a star. On and on, the rain will say how fragile we are, how fragile we
Marcus, I think it's in your future. I think it's inevitable that
Yeah,
that's something that's going to happen. I feel that's
that's
something that's going to happen for you.
so cool. Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this. I know it's really late for you.
Thank you.
It
Thanks
was
for
wonderful to
having me.
have this visit.
Oh, it's so
Again.
great to see you too. It's been a long time coming, and so thanks for putting this together. I'm stoked.
Well, it was great. It was just we happened to be two ships at the Rod Stewart Bowl concert, and it was meant to be. And let us know when you're back in the States, and we'll
I
have you
will.
up and have a real life visit.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, and big hugs, and we'll see you soon, no matter what. We'll keep in touch.
Absolutely. Definitely.
All right.
Thanks, Marcus.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great